As somebody who worked in Air Force intelligence, managed military airspace near Area 51, held a top secret clearance, and also had a personal encounter with a UFO, I'm telling you right now, the UFO narrative being pushed today is a distraction. But the question is, a distraction from what? What's going on, everybody? Give this video a like, a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, show all the love. This being my first video, I appreciate it and I'm grateful already. Now, before we get into this topic, I think it's important that I give you some context, because this isn't just coming from somebody who watched a few documentaries on YouTube. No, it's coming from somebody who served 6 years in the United States Air Force, held a top secret clearance as an intelligence analyst. I was stationed in Las Vegas, Nevada during that time, and then 2 years after my career in the Air Force, I was a DoD contractor in Las Vegas, managing airspace for the Nevada Test and Training Range, which just so happened to include coordinating with Area 51 airspace operations. So trust me when I say, what's being told to us from the government about this whole phenomena is not the whole truth, and I believe it's a distraction from something else. Now, before you think I'm just dismissing everything, let me tell you something I've never really talked about publicly. In 2022, I had my own personal UFO encounter where I was in McKinney, Texas at around 11 o'clock at night. I was outside of my apartment. I was talking with one of my neighbors who was walking her dog, and all of a sudden, in the middle of our conversation, we just felt something there. And we look up, and 200 to 300 yards away is what looked like a giant Millennium Falcon, but it was dead silent. It was so large, but so silent. She saw it, I saw it, we looked at each other, we acknowledged it, we're like, is that what we think it is? And then 2 minutes later, it was gone. It looked like it was gliding in the distance effortlessly. And so with that being said, in this video, I'll be breaking down, despite having my own experiences, why I'm not buying what they are telling us. This is where I'll start. As a kid, I've always been fascinated with UFOs, secret military projects, Star Wars, etc. And like most people, I wanted to believe that there was something else out there. I mean, I watched the documentaries, spent hundreds of hours as a teenager researching conspiracy theories, following Roswell, the Phoenix Lights, the Tic Tac footage, Area 51 lore, and so on and so forth. But as a Christian, somebody who's devout in their faith, and somebody who understands how governments work, seeing both sides, become deeply skeptical of the current UFO narrative. Recently, we've seen another trove of dropped UFO documents hitting the mainstream media where, there's military footage, Joe Rogan interviews, Jesse Waters is talking about 4 different alien species on Fox News. And so there's
4 different species of aliens. Another scientist called them Greys, Nordics, Insectoids, and reptilians.
Big push to disclosure. But here's the problem. Most people are taking all of these videos and interviews, automatically thinking aliens because of a grainy piece of military footage. And let's be honest, intellectually honest, only one piece of data. As a trained intelligence analyst, one source of information means almost nothing without corroboration. I mean, you need multiple collection methods. The public only gets shown these blurry clips, and that leads to emotional headlines, which I believe is on purpose. But blurry clips and flares with a parachute on it is not evidence, in my personal opinion, of extraterrestrial life. That's narrative building, and we have to ask ourselves, what narrative are they building, or what narrative are they distracting us from? Because if governments truly believed humanity could handle disclosure like they're preparing us for, then where's the full disclosure? Show us the aliens, show us the craft, show us the undeniable proof. If you think we can handle it, then show it to us. Because right now, it's a whole lot of mystery wrapped up in what people want to be true. And let's not forget, just 10 years ago, it was a taboo topic to talk about aliens. Now, like I said, it's all over the news. Why the sudden change? And in this video, there's one incident I want to focus on because it is probably the most credible accounts when it comes to UFOs and UAPs, and that's the 2004 Nimitz Tic Tac UFO. For those of you that don't know, in 2004, Commander David Fravor and his squadron encountered an object off the coast of California that appeared to move in ways that seemed impossible. Commander Fravor went on Joe Rogan, and people instantly gravitated towards aliens are real because this credible Navy pilot is talking about his encounter. But I want to discuss something that has not really been brought up ever when talked about UFOs and UAPs, and that's the United States long history of testing classified airspace technology decades before the public ever knows about it. Stealth bombers were hidden for years. The F-22, the most capable aircraft for the Air Force, was designed in 1996. And then almost 20 years later, it had its first successful combat operations and brought to the public. The F-117 has always been shrouded in mystery. And there are current aircraft and technologies that we will never know about because of this black budget. Why won't they acknowledge it? Well, you have to understand it from a strategic standpoint. It's advantage over our adversaries. The military-industrial complex has spent billions developing technology specifically designed to dominate adversaries psychologically and technologically. And so if China, Russia, or any other adversary believes America possesses near unexplainable aerial technology, that alone becomes a weapon. Fear is a weapon, confusion is a weapon, perception is a weapon. But let's get back to the Tic Tac encounter. Many people believe the Tic Tac object was tied to advanced Lockheed Martin Skunk Works programs, specifically the CL-957 Gen 2. According to leaked claims circulating online, the Lockheed Martin CL-957 Gen 2 was allegedly a next-gen platform for extreme maneuverability, which we saw, stealth, which we saw, and multi-environment operation, meaning air, space, and even underwater, which is exactly what Commander David Fravor had encountered in 2004. So the rumored project is said to have originated in the early 2000s, which lines up with the timeline of the 04 Nimitz encounter. And to play both sides, there is zero verified public evidence that the CL-957 Gen 2 officially exists, no confirmed documents, no Lockheed acknowledgement, no declassified Pentagon release. You have to also understand that's not out of the ordinary. In fact, it's right on trend. What is real is Skunk Works' long history of building revolutionary classified aircraft, including the U-2 SR-71, the F-117, and other 5th gen fighter technology. Now here's where my Christian perspective comes in. Do I believe there are spiritual realities beyond what we can see? Absolutely. I believe most alien encounters actually are demonic more than otherworldly. The Bible is very clear about this, and that there's spiritual forces influencing the world around us. I mean, Ephesians 6:12 says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, and against the rulers of the darkness of this world." And this is where I think Christians need discernment. I believe there's a spiritual dimension to much of this fascination, just as Tucker Carlson has laid out.
We're seeing these phenomena are spiritual phenomena. They've been here forever. There's a lot of evidence of that in the written record going back thousands of years. They're angels and demons, of course.
And I think humanity has always been drawn toward forbidden knowledge, mystery, and deception. Now, let me be careful here. I'm not saying every UFO sighting is demonic. I mean, I had my own and I didn't feel like it was a demonic encounter. I'm also not saying every unexplained event is spiritual warfare. Sometimes things are just advanced military technology that has not been yet acknowledged. But I do think there is a larger spiritual agenda at play in culture. Why? Because confusion creates vulnerability. Fear creates dependency, and historically, governments expand power during uncertainty and fear. I mean, that's why concepts like Project Bluebeam became so popular over the years. And here's the thing, whether Project Bluebeam itself is real or not isn't even the main point. But you do have to ask yourself, what does the American government benefit with us starting to acknowledge and start to believe non-human entities? Why is Fox News talking about 4 different species of aliens? I don't get it. All of a sudden, right? The point is, people intuitively understand that fear-based narratives can be used to manipulate populations. And as Christians, we should not be so naive. I think the bigger danger here isn't aliens, it's a distraction. But the distraction for what and from what? And honestly, if tomorrow the government announced we are not alone, most people would instantly look to government institutions for answers, security, and direction. That should concern you more than any other UFO footage, because history shows fear centralizes power. I mean, we saw that right after 9/11 with the Patriot Act. They positioned it as a way to protect American civilians from further terrorist attacks, while in the same breath collecting on American civilians illegally. Lastly, I want to address when they say that they haven't released this information because it will challenge religion and people's belief systems. My thing is, when you read the Bible, you know this world is more spiritual than it is physical. And us being in the physical, we only see the results of the spiritual. And if you look at the Bible, the book of Genesis and the book of Enoch, it mentions fallen angels in the Nephilim. I believe the release of actual UFO or even alien evidence confirms that the Bible is actually more true than the truth that it already is. However, right now we don't have all the answers. I personally believe we will never have the answers, but the question that must be asked is whether these objects are advanced military technology, spiritual deception, or something entirely else. And the real question isn't what's in the sky. The real question is, why are we suddenly being encouraged to look there?